Good morning, everyone. It is Monday. It is December 1st. It is December, the last month of 2025. It is 8:07 a.m. in upstate New York. It is 8:07 also in New York City, where Julie is, and I believe it is 9:07 in Venezuela. I say Venezuela because it is top of mind for all of us, I think, today. But welcome to the Mayday Morning Show, Julie. How are you?
I'm good, Michelle. I thought we would be able to take a couple of days off this weekend from the news, thanks to it being a long weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. But apparently that was not to be because we are, I don't know, murdering down in Venezuela. We are deploying the USS Gerald Ford, a major carrier, down to Venezuela. We are apparently giving Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela. I might add the illegally self-appointed leader of Venezuela, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Right.
Apparently an ultimatum that this president said to him, get out or else. And I think Maduro tried to say, I'll get out after we have free and fair elections. And I think Trump was like, no, get out now. All right, look. If this happens, if Maduro leaves, there's going to be this whole mainstream media push to say, look at Trump. He was able to accomplish something nobody else could. He got rid of this dictator who seized power illegally. But I just want to be very clear that we're not doing this in Iran. We're not doing this in Russia. We're not doing this in a whole host of countries that have, elections that were not particularly free or fair,
right?
That are bigger threats to us than Venezuela. So if we're in the regime change business now, we should just say so.
Right.
But if we're not going, if Maduro is not going to acquiesce to what Trump wants, and we are going to go to war with Venezuela, well, there are very specific constitutional metrics that you have to meet before you go to war, as in Congress declares war, not Donald Trump.
Right.
Congress has not declared war on Venezuela at all. I'm not sure what we're doing there. And frankly, this whole bullshit excuse of him going down there to get rid of drugs, that's not really where that's not where the fentanyl comes from in this country.
No, it's coming through Mexico for the most part, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's coming from China.
Well, then that too. So I talked to Lieutenant Colonel Urso on Friday, later in the day. And she had a lot of things to say about this. That first of all, we're not at war. So is it a war crime? Is it not a war crime? But in any scenario, it is a violation of both domestic and international law. I do have some clips of that.
The boat being blown up. The boat's being blown up.
Yes. And the order itself.
Right.
So blowing up the boat, number one, illegal, but also the double tap from Pete Hegseth saying basically once there were survivors from that initial firing on the boat, then it is part of international law that you are to save those people and give them, their day in court, essentially, because it's not the Venezuelan military that's coming to our shores to attack Americans or to throw, bombs on our beaches or something. Like, that's not what's happening here. And, we're just have to basically go on their word too. They're like, no, these are narco boats. Like, are they? Are we sure? Also, I'm being touched by an angel back here. Like, literally the sun is right here.
Oh, you look beautiful.
So you keep going. I'm actually going to close this.
Yeah. I mean, just to clarify what Michelle was talking about, the double tap. For people who don't know, a double tap is you do a first assault and then you come back and hit the target a second time. And that's what happened to these boats, where these fishermen, who this government claims without any evidence or providing any evidence to Congress or to anybody else that they were in fact drug runners. They say they are. let's see the evidence, but okay, let's just even assume that they were.
Mm-hmm.
They ordered, so Pete Hegseth gave an order, according to the Washington Post, that said, and I quote, and this is very chilling, kill them all. Kill them all. Which means that the admiral in charge of this mission struck this shipping boat in September,
Mm-hmm.
blew it up. There were 2 survivors clinging to the wreckage of the boat as it was in flames. And the double tap happened when they struck them and killed them as they were trying to basically float for their lives.
Yep.
That is against the law, whether civilian or military. Mm-hmm. It's not even debatable. It's not even debatable.
Yep.
And Michelle, I don't know if we have this clip of what Trump said on Air Force One when he was asked about Pete Hegseth's order to kill them all, which Hegseth denies.
Yep, here it is.
And I believe it. So you don't know if there was the second strike to kill the 2 men? He said he didn't do it. He said he never said.
Would you be okay with that if he did?
He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
You've made so clear how you want to keep drugs out of the U.S.
Right.
Can you explain more about why you've been pardoned a notorious drug trafficker?
Well, I don't know who you're talking about. Which
Juan Romando Hernandez.
Well, I was told, I was asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras, they said it was a Biden setup. I don't mean Biden.
Okay, there's so much to unpack here in that, I don't know, 30-second clip or something. But let's start with Venezuela first before we get to Honduras, Michelle. I thought this was a very interesting reaction by Trump.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't beating his chest. He wasn't saying, yeah, I'm the commander in chief, and if I say I want to kill somebody, we can kill them.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't defending Hegseth and saying that Hegseth's order was appropriate. He was strangely distancing himself from the whole thing, defending Hegseth and saying Pete said he didn't say it, but not debating whatsoever whether Pete saying it was appropriate. And that Pete was his representative and he's the commander in chief, can order whatever strikes he wants, which by the way is also not true. I don't think it's true. But what I think is relevant here is that he doesn't look particularly comfortable with this line of questioning. And the Washington Post would not, I don't think, have printed that if they didn't have multiple sources.
No way. No way.
Back up to what Pete said, including the admiral that heard the command.
Right. They're going to source this and cover their asses because for a couple reasons. Number one, because Donald Trump is extremely litigious and he will sue anybody for anything. But also because the newspaper is owned by Jeff Bezos. So, there's a transactional relationship there as well. But of course, Pete Hegseth, after the publication, he tweets, this guy, by the way, if you guys haven't watched this week's episode of South Park about Pete Hegseth, you just look at all of this through a new lens. It's really something. Because this guy is such a showboat. He is over the top. He is dramatic. Everything's about content. Everything's about filming himself and writing and being like boisterous. And it's I can't. He's so unserious, and mentally unwell. So, anyways, Secretary of Defense here, Pete Hegseth, says, as usual, the fake news is delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting to discredit our incredible warriors fighting to protect the homeland. As we've said from the beginning in every statement, these highly effective strikes are specifically intended to be lethal kinetic strikes. The declared intent is to stop lethal drugs, destroy narco-boats, and kill the narco-terrorists who are poisoning the American people. Every trafficker we kill is affiliated with a designated terrorist organization. According to whom? According to whom? That's my question. The Biden administration preferred the kid gloves approach, allowing millions of people, including dangerous cartels and unvetted Afghans, here we go, to flood our communities with drugs and violence. The Trump administration has sealed the border and gone on offense against narco-terrorists. Biden coddled terrorists. We kill them. Our current operations in the Caribbean are lawful under both U.S. and international law. Just as an aside, that is incorrect. With all actions in compliance with the law of armed conflict and approved by the best military and civilian lawyers up and down the chain of command, our warriors in Southcom put their lives on the line every day to protect the homeland from narco-terrorists, and I will always have their back. And I just feel like I just need to say
keep
this.
That up
really,
for 1 second. Go ahead. Keep that up while you say it. Go ahead.
I just want to say, he says that it's been approved by the lawyers up and down the chain of command. That may or may not be true. I'm going to go with probably not. But even if it was, Pete Hegseth has made it very clear since day one that he was going to get rid of any judge advocate, any JAG that stands in his way or in the way of the Trump administration's agenda, unlawful agenda. And that means getting rid of people like friend of the show, Lieutenant Colonel Urso, retired, who is was a judge advocate in the United States Marine Corps for 20 years.
She's a colonel. I mean, I want to be very clear. She's a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah.
They got rid of somebody at that level.
Yeah.
The next thing after a colonel is a general. I mean, she was pretty high up. They got rid of somebody like her because they didn't want to hear it. I have another very good friend who's a former JAG officer who now works on the civilian side defending people in the military. Same story. I mean, but I want to actually point out something that I don't think has gotten much attention on this tweet.
Okay.
They always give it away. If you want to know how smart people do it, they bury the bullshit in the middle of a long screed. The Trump administration continuously puts the bullshit in the lead, so you kind of don't have to read the rest of it. And the bullshit is here in the lead. As usual, the fake news is delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting to discredit our incredible warriors fighting to protect the homeland. Okay. It's not the incredible warriors that the Washington Post
reported on
of illegal behavior. It is the Secretary of Defense.
Yep. It's you, Pete
Hegseth. So I love how Pete Hegseth, parentheses warrior, is hiding behind the people down the chain of command.
It's Operation Human Shield. Yeah.
He's literally using active duty military as his human shield. He did this.
Yep.
He did this. Nobody else. And if I may, Michelle, we could take that stupid statement down, but if I may just talk for a second about the Pete Hegseth whom I know.
Yeah, please.
Because one of the advantages, besides the incredible hair and makeup that I had in working at Fox News, is that I got to hang out with all these people.
Right.
And the reality is that he is an idiot. I don't know how else to say it. He's just an idiot. And he is somebody who has had two accomplishments in life. One is he somehow got into Princeton University, which I guess when you're 18 years old is as big accomplishment as you can have. Which means that he obviously did well in school and on his SATs. I guess. And he's from Minnesota, so I guess, that helps. So good for you, Pete. Congratulations. You went to good school. And the second thing that Pete accomplished is that he looked the part of what, and I have to be careful here because I am under an NDA, but of what the current president, or whatever her title is, of Fox News, considers to be a good Fox News anchor.
Right.
Like Jesse Waters, like others. He's a good looking,
Yes.
He was.
You're into that.
Yeah. He was. No, in fairness, 10 years ago, Pete was a good looking guy.
Yeah.
He's only 40. Again, I don't know what.
He's 1 year older than me.
Yeah.
He was born in 81, I believe.
Yeah. The Pete I remember from his early 30s is a good looking guy. But Pete has basically failed at everything else in life.
Yep.
He has failed at marriage.
Oh, yeah.
He's failed at being a dad.
Yep.
He has failed at running two organizations. He has failed in financial dealing. And were it not for Fox News saving his ass, I think Pete would be on the unemployment line right now.
Which also, and maybe I can say this because I didn't work at Fox News. I by the way, as an aside, if you listen or watch the Hysteria podcast with Alyssa Mastromonaco, please go watch. They did an entire deep dive for like a half hour on Pete Hegseth, and there's so much there, guys. Like there is so much there. Please go watch it. It's so good. But the other thing here is that, part of his rise at Fox News had to do with there was a producer who liked him, a female producer.
She was very powerful.
Very powerful. And she's the one who started booking him a whole lot more. And I just want to say also that the Secretary of Defense, the Defense Department of the United States of America, we're going to get a Fox host. We got like the weekend guy, like not even prime time. Like we got the weekend daytime guy.
But finish the story about the Fox producer, Michelle, because that is the Fox producer.
Oh, yes. That's the Fox producer that he cheated on his second wife, who's now his third wife. And
he's now married to this Fox producer.
They're now married, and he has her all up in his business, in the government, potentially, and I'm just speculating here because he is such a cheating, philandering piece of shit that she's afraid that if she lets him out of her sight for 2 seconds, that he's going to do to her what she was part of.
Well, he did do it to her because if you recall that allegation of sexual assault that took place against him in California, 2017, was when his then girlfriend, now current wife. No, I'm sorry. Maybe they were married. I don't know. I don't know if they were married.
Whatever.
Married.
Didn't he get her pregnant when he was married to the second one?
She was pregnant with his child.
Yeah. And
he cheated on her with this woman who alleged that he raped her. He says, no, I didn't rape her. It was consensual. It was just me cheating on her. On my now current wife. So if this happened to anybody else in the military, they would get court-martialed. You are not allowed to have an extramarital affair in the military. I actually don't judge people for this stuff. To each their own. I don't know what happens in marriage is not my business. That's between you and your wife.
Sure.
But I will say that is against.
Well, yes, it is.
That's the Uniform Military Code of Justice.
And his first wife, who was his high school sweetheart, who he cheated on with wife number 2, he showed up at her doorstep in full uniform to tell her that he was cheating on her and he was leaving her for another woman. Like, he loves to dress up in little costumes and he loves to like play G.I. Joe and pretend and ruin people's lives. And he's also like, on top of this, is a raging alcoholic. He's an addict. And this is the guy that's in charge of the Defense Department. I refuse to call it Department of War. I just refuse. It's so ridiculous. And it's yet again, just another, it's all happening on TV. It's just like, oh, it sounds better. Shut up. Like, honestly, I can't. These people are so terribly unserious. And that's the thing. Like, I was going back and watching some of the clips from his confirmation hearing as well. And the questions that he was being asked about basic diplomacy. He has no clue what's going on. He doesn't know anything. And then again, for him to dress down people like Mark Kelly, try to embarrass him and humiliate him by talking to him about his uniform and like whatever else. And the way that he treats women, the way that just not even in his own personal life, but through the military as well, what they have done to women in the military. And he has signaled this for years before he got this job. And still the Republicans in the Senate confirmed him and sent him through. And J.D. Vance was the tie-breaking vote.
If one Republican, and I'm looking at you, Joni Ernst of Iowa, or Roger Wicker, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, but I'm specifically looking at Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst was at the time still running for re-election. She was scared. They were basically telling her that she was going to get primaried. She chose not to run anyway. So again, what makes no sense to me is, what are you afraid of? You chose not to run anyway.
Yeah.
Joni Ernst has built her career on being a woman in the military
Mhm.
and a sexual assault survivor.
Yep.
And Pete Hegseth has gotten rid of women. I mean, he's basically made it almost impossible for women in the military to function.
Yep.
And of course, his whole, allegation of sexual assault.
Mhm.
She still voted for him
Mhm.
because nothing matters to these people. And I have to tell you,
Nothing.
I interviewed on a different podcast, and I had a different podcast a couple years ago, a woman who is just remarkable. I mean, I'll pull up this podcast and maybe tweet it out because this is actually a remarkable story. This woman grew up, she was American, but she grew up in a cult outside of the United States. And the reason it was outside of the United States is because in this cult, it was a kind of a sex cult where if you really believed in God, God wanted you to sleep with children.
Jesus.
And she said the first time, she can't remember how many men she slept with, but she said she thinks the first time she was 6 years old. She's not really clear. And this was kind of like what was done. Kind of like what happened.
What is wrong with people?
And this cult was run by one of the people in this cult was a former member of a very famous band. I won't ruin it for you if you want to listen. Anyway, this woman's remarkable. When she was 15 years old, she said no more. Her mother helped, which is incredible. And at 15, she moved back to the United States, moved to Texas, I believe Dallas or Houston, I forgot where.
Yeah.
And effectively lived by herself, having never functioned in society before because she had been in this cult. Her mother taught her secretly to read.
Oh my God.
Graduated as valedictorian of her college class, and then decided to give back to this country and join the military and became this incredible warrior in the military.
Mhm.
Where apparently when there's the Boston Marathon in Baghdad, they kind of simulated the Boston Marathon by running it. She won it, not just the women's section, all of it. So this woman is
What an incredible person. Wow.
an incredible person, was honored by Obama for her work in the military without him ever knowing about the cult stuff. Like, completely took herself out of this horrible situation, raised herself as a teenager, was a valedictorian, then decided to join the military, excelled at that too. Like, everything about her is what this country needs. She was eventually pushed out because she had also then been raped in the military. And she was like, I just, whatever. And when I talked to her, she said, if you join the military, if you're a woman, it's not a question of if, but when you're going to get sexually assaulted. She said, it's not even a question. You're going to get, she goes, if you get deployed, this was during the, height of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. She said, if you're on deployment, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. You're going to get assaulted. And to have somebody say that after everything that she had been through, after literally being trafficked as a 6-year-old girl on up to old men. And in her mind, they were old. I think in reality, I think they went up all the way up to like 60 or 70, but I think like including 40-year-olds, 30-year-olds. I mean, it doesn't really matter. She was 6 and up. And this was just going to continue to be. She doesn't know who her father is because she was a 3rd generation cult member. And so her mother, same thing. Her mother was trafficked. So she had no clue which of these men got her mother pregnant. Yes, with Daniela, Beth Browning. You have exactly right. Daniela Young. So she, just an incredible story. She's amazing. But for somebody like that to then have Pete Hegseth, who's been accused credibly of sexual assault and who treats women like shit, to now be the Secretary of Defense. I haven't spoken to her since Hegseth. Maybe we'll just do an interview with her again.
Yeah.
On the show. I strongly recommend that people read her book. I'll drop it in the chat. But, what is so just amazing to me is that this is what we have. This is the Secretary of Defense that we have, and he's making excuses, and Trump is making excuses for all of this stuff, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and Lieutenant Colonel Urso Jacqueline, who's if you weren't watching, is also happens to be my sister-in-law. She did say that, pardon power only applies to federal laws broken. It does not apply to military laws broken. Now, I was talking about this with my dad this morning, and I was trying to figure out, maybe this is a question I'm going to ask Jacqueline. So Pete Hegseth is former military. He's retired military, and he's acting as a civilian as the Secretary of Defense. So if he got pardoned by Donald Trump, that would wipe his slate clean in terms of a federal crime. But what about a military crime? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's a good question for Jacqueline.
Yeah, I'm going to ask her.
I suspect so.
Yeah.
I suspect so. I mean, he's the commander in chief.
What do you think, Julie, is the chance that, like, let's say this thing gets 10 times worse than it already is? Donald Trump, to your point, right, looked very uncomfortable talking about this. What's the chance that he lets Pete Hegseth drown and take all the blame for this, and he just lets him burn, essentially?
I think the more that Hegseth is kind of under investigation by people he's not going to, because that will look like, an attack on him. So actually, in some ways, it's better for Hegseth to have people all up in arms about this, protect him.
Yeah.
But I think eventually, I can't imagine Pete lasting much longer. Or maybe he is. Listen, Pete's,
who knows?
I put that in the chat, but this is what Pete Hegseth tweets out.
Yeah, he tweeted this.
He thinks this is hilarious. And
God, he's such a loser. He's such a loser. That's the thing about this, is like all this, he's dangerous. He's all that, right? I mean, he's dangerous. He's incompetent. He shouldn't have this job, blah, 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 blah. But he's also just such a loser.
Well, I want to just say this. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, told somebody to go and design that book cover. Like, Pete is not, I would hope to God that Pete Hegseth is not sitting around and playing on Canva by himself.
He might be,
but I don't think so. So he basically told somebody to take time out of their schedule and design that.
My feeling is that there's probably someone within the White House that they have just like sitting around making memes and trolling. I'm serious. Like, that's their job, because between that and the stuff that Donald Trump posts and like JD Vance posts, like they've got to have a little team of like AI, people making weird troll memes. Because again, like this White House administration, everything about them, they're unserious. This is Celebrity Apprentice meets the Hunger Games. Like, that is what this is. That is what this is. Tara said that very early on, and I was like, yep.
This is a reality show. These people think is hilarious. They think it's hilarious.
Kristi Noem, for God's sake, said that they were pitching a TV show where they let immigrants like basically fight on an island to get, and then like the winner would get citizenship, and like second place would get like a Starbucks gift card or something. For real. This is how these people think about other human beings.
I know.
I don't know how they can claim to love this country and act the way that they do. I really don't understand. Like, they're living in a different reality than the rest of us.
What frightens me a bit about this is that people like Pete Hegseth don't think that there's ever going to be any accountability for them, which makes me wonder, do they ever think we're going to have another election? Because they see the same polls. They see the same polls that we see.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. I just think that I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing like anybody else, but I think it's probably a combination of them thinking that there's not going to be another election, but also I just think that they're tripling down out of arrogance. Like, I legitimately just think that's what this is too. I think that they just think, well, I can just do whatever because Donald Trump's going to pardon me anyways, and we also can't admit that we've done something wrong. And that's the whole Trump brand, right? Is that we don't admit when
Yeah.
when we've done something wrong. Even if we've lost, we say we won. And that's just that's the mentality. There is, and the second that anybody admits to anything, we made a mistake, we did this. I mean, they won't release a jobs report, for God's sakes. They're
Oh,
hiding everything
it's
from us.
beyond the jobs report. So every week, for people who maybe don't subscribe to my Substack, I post the price of eggs,
Mhm.
the price of bacon, and the price of apples. Price of apples is posted every week. The price of eggs and the price of bacon is updated every month because it's different agencies that do it.
Mhm.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, St. Louis is responsible for bacon, the Fed, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics is responsible for eggs, has not updated. We don't know what the price of eggs were in October.
Mhm.
The Fed was supposed to release it on November 18th. It is now December 1st. I checked Saturday. It was not up there. Same with the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yep. And
So it's not
again,
just jobs, it's everything.
it's everything. And I mean, again, look back to 2020 when thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans were dying every single day/week. And what did he say? Slow the testing down. He goes, because if there isn't testing, there aren't cases. And that looks good for him. Because again, at the end of the day, and this is something that I still think that people can't wrap their heads around, Donald Trump only cares about himself. He only cares about what he looks like. He does not care about anybody else. He doesn't care if you die. He doesn't care if you take a bullet for him. He does not care. And so 1 million dead Americans from COVID due to his mismanagement of a pandemic is the same thing he's doing to the economy, to employment, to our military, to the Department of Education, to public health. I mean, the list goes on. This is Donald Trump. Donald Trump bankrupted 2 casinos. And now this guy is president again because 70 plus million Americans decided it was a good idea to put him back in office after everything. And then unfortunately, those of us who didn't participate in that choice have to suffer the consequences with everybody else.
Yeah, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If I were sitting in the Kremlin back in 1947 or whatever he was born,
Mhm.
Which I think it was 47. If I were sitting in the Kremlin in 1946, and by the way, this did not happen, but I just want to say hypothetically, if I were sitting in the Kremlin in 1946 and I were Joseph Stalin and I said, let me figure out how to play the long game with the United States, because the Russians love playing the long game.
Mhm.
I'm going to take a little Russian baby born to some peasant, because they are, and I don't mean peasant in a derogatory way, they really are peasants over there. My father grew up in a peasant village, so I could say this.
Mhm.
I'm going to take some baby, send him to the United States, place him with a fellow traveler family, and have him raised as an American,
Mhm.
and train him from birth to be just responsible for the destruction of the United States, and one day do everything I can to make him rich and powerful and make him president.
Mhm.
They could not have done a better job.
It's the Manchurian candidate.
Donald Trump. They could
that's
not have done a better job.
Yeah, it's the Manchurian candidate. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what it feels like we're living through. We are living in the alternate timeline when Biff Tannen gets his hands on the Gray Sports Almanac and goes to the alternate 1985. And there's a rich guy who looks just like Donald Trump living in a pleasure palace, which, I should say as an aside, the people who made that movie based that character off of Donald Trump. He's trash. He's traitorous trash.
He is a traitor.
Mhm.
He is a traitor. And I want to be very clear here about what he is. He is somebody who has betrayed our country each and every way. He has switched sides in the Cold War that has been going on since the Russians crossed the Elbe in 1945. Suddenly now we're carrying water for the bad guys.
Mhm. We are the bad guys.
We are the bad guys.
Mhm. Yep.
I mean, there are people watching the show from all over the world, and it breaks my heart as an American to say that to you.
Yeah.
Because we were always the country that everybody kind of looked up to. Listen, we were not perfect. We engaged in some really shitty behavior over the last few years. From Southeast Asia to South America. It's not like, what we're doing in South America now is not something we haven't done before.
Right.
I'm not suggesting that the United States was the shining beacon that we pretended it was.
Right.
But overall, we were the world's policeman for good in that we were the world's oldest democracy that worked. It didn't always work for everybody, but it worked.
It worked. And that's what Jacqueline and I were talking about on Friday evening as well, is, our country has made mistakes. Our military has made mistakes. We have made mistakes. But at the end of the day, we are the example for the rest of the world for what should be done. We're the good guys. We're supposed to be the good guys in comparison to everyone else. And we're supposed to be the leaders of the free world. That is why when someone becomes president of the United States, they say leader of the free world. That's what that means. And the person who is now president of the United States is no longer the leader of the free world. I don't know who the leader of the free world is anymore.
There is no leader.
Carney? I mean, what I mean?
No, there is no leader of the free world. I mean, that's the problem. The problem is that, unfortunately, and in this great realignment that we're going through right now, hopefully this will come to pass, is that our allies have relied consistently on the protection of the United States, on our nuclear umbrella, on our investing most of the money in NATO, on our investing, on our the dollar being the backstop to the world economy. And the reality is that's turned out to be a mistake, because it's not like the Europeans can suddenly listen. They own. Let's put it this way: the Europeans have some hand here. They own a lot of our debt. They could sell it off, and that will tank the dollar to the point where it'll make 2008 look like a garden party with a credit crisis that would ensue. But unfortunately, they're not going to do that. Not unfortunately, they're not going to do that, because it's also going to affect their economy.
Right.
Everybody in this world, in the Western world, is totally intertwined with the United States. We own a ton of our debt, but it would. So, and the theory behind it was good. It was like mutually assured destruction. You can't do that to us.
Yeah.
Because if you do that to us, you'll do it to yourself. But now what that means is that somebody like Donald Trump comes to power, and he's able to run roughshod without any kind of accountability. Nothing.
Yep. Like, you can't stop me. What are you going to do? There's no real consequences for somebody like that. And, and again, this is something that Jacqueline and I talked about, is that we pulled out of the ICC in 2005. So there is no Hague for the United States of America, because we could be trusted, or at least we told the world that we could be trusted to police ourselves. And we can't be trusted. And that is a long game from the Republican Party. That is not just Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an end result of decades of hard work to make that happen. I would say starting with Ronald Reagan, but the catalyst being, the Tea Party movement.
We are a nation right now led by kleptocrats who put their own self-enrichment ahead as what is best for the United States and the rest of the world.
Yes.
And to say that this is a shameful moment in our nation's history does not begin to cover it.
Yeah.
We are now no better than a banana republic pay-to-play regime, albeit one with the world's most powerful military and economy.
Yeah. And, I, not to go down this rabbit hole, but I rewatched House of Dynamite on Netflix the other night. I just highly recommend anybody go watch that movie. It's Catherine Bigelow, from who made Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30. It's about nuclear weapons in the world and this American exceptionalism that we all kind of have ingrained into our minds here in the United States. And our capabilities of being able to protect ourselves from these sorts of things are not what we think they are. And there is a reason why a film like that was responded to by the Pentagon. Pete Hegseth and the military, very, very, very upset about that movie, because it really it breaks a lot of, I think, trust that the people have with our capability. So definitely go watch that. But the thing is also, Julie, here is that all of this is going on. It is a constant waterfall of things that we feel like we're chasing every story. And we've talked about this, that not every story is singular. A lot of it is connected. And that even goes to the frequency that Donald Trump plays golf. Donald Trump plays golf so much. It is costing the American taxpayer millions and millions and millions of dollars. While all of this is going on, Donald Trump is going to play golf. Trump's golf habit is costing taxpayers a fortune. This report is from the Daily Beast, from just the other day. I believe this was yesterday. It says President Donald Trump's love of golf is costing U.S. taxpayers an eye-watering amount that far exceeds his first-term spending. New analysis by Huffington Post found that Trump's beloved hobby has already cost American taxpayers nearly $71 million since his return to the Oval Office in January, and is expected to total more than $300 million by the time his second term ends. While Americans are suffering, losing jobs, paying exorbitant amounts of money just to feed their families, Donald Trump is spending your money, so that he can play golf at his own clubs.
So he's profiting off of that too.
He is profiting off of, so that he can send all security, and Secret Service has to stay in his rooms at his resorts. That, by the way, the United States government pays him in order to put people up. It's not like out of, the goodness of his heart, he just lets everybody stay there. Oh no, he'll never pass up an opportunity to make a couple bucks. But the only thing here, we can get to who he played golf with over the weekend. But Tim Miller posted this photo from the weekend. He said, a listener passes along this photo of our president enjoying a meal at his golf club earlier today. I don't know, Julie, he looks great.
I mean, I love how they have to remind him who he is. President Donald J. Trump, 4547, is on the place card. Uh-huh. It's on the side of his hat. Mm-hmm. And let me just say, for our Canadian friends, he played golf with Bret Baier, mm-hmm. An LIV golfer whose name Michelle, you might know, I don't. But he also played golf with Wayne Gretzky.
Mm-hmm. Whose daughter is married to Dustin Johnson, I think. Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky. And I want to know from my Canadian friends here, what do you guys think about this? Because, both my husband and my father are massive, massive, massive hockey fans. My father, who I grew up with, so I know a little bit more about how he felt about Wayne Gretzky in the 80s, worshipped Wayne Gretzky, worshipped him. He's not even Canadian, and he worshipped Wayne Gretzky. Just as somebody who loves the game, my father used to play hockey at a semi-pro level. Literally somebody who just worshipped the game. He worshipped Wayne Gretzky. Mm-hmm. And I know we're not supposed to conflate, one thing with the other.
Yeah, but
this guy is golfing with somebody who wants to annex your country, my Canadian mm-hmm. friend. Mm-hmm. He's kind of betraying Canada by doing this. It's not like he's golfing with George Bush. We might disagree on policy. He's golfing with somebody who literally wants to Anschluss the hell out of your country.
Yep. Anybody who would be seen with Donald Trump, who's socializing with Donald Trump, who's doing business with Donald Trump, is signaling to the world that they are okay with everything he's done, everything he's doing, and everything he will do. And that's the other thing. I mean, it is a huge, huge judge of character for these people. And again, we've talked about this, Julie. about golf. I've played golf since I was a kid. Well, I don't play it as much anymore just because I live in New York. It's not accessible sport to play. There's no place in my apartment to store clubs. But you know, the thing about golf is that there is etiquette, there is honor, there is decorum, there is a certain way you're supposed to behave, to hold yourself accountable, to be honest. All of these things, right? And here's a picture of all of them playing. Bret Baier, by the way, from Fox News.
Of course.
There as well.
He lives down the road from Trump, just so people know.
Of course. But everything about golf exposes Donald Trump for who he really is. And that is a terrible person. He's a cheater. And I just want to remind people again, this is from the Palm Beach Post here from this year. Donald Trump cheating at golf, fancy resorts, A-list partners cheating at the highest level. He cheats at everything. And this is an updated published article from earlier. Now, there's a guy named Rick Riley. If you don't know who Rick Riley is, he's a sports writer, and he's written a book about Donald Trump cheating at golf, and it's called Commander in Cheat. It says here, Donald Trump has a long creative history with golf. He owns fancy resorts, lavish courses around the world. And there has been a Trumpification. I want to play this too, because Fox News has been kissing his ass.
Of course.
Who cares? Fox News tweets, see it. President Trump sinks an impressive chip shot on the golf course with LIV Golf star Brooks. I think it's Koepka, that's it. NHL legend Wayne Gretzky and Fox News host Bret Baier. Yeah, so Brooks is part of LIV Golf, which is
Saudi Arabia sports watching.
Saudi Arabia. It is with the ones that have the trophy that looks like the towers, rubble. And they're actively, I mean, in my opinion, trying to destroy the PGA. Now, there's been a fair amount of golfers who have stuck with the PGA and are really trying to save it, trying to broker some sort of deal. Roy McIlroy being one of them, who was, if you guys don't remember what happened at the Ryder Cup this year, which took place on Long Island, it's Europe versus the United States. And the Americans, there's been a Trumpification of this sport. Now, mind you, yes, it's always been very white and like kind of an affluent sport. I get it. But accessible, though, to working class people. For example, Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy comes from a very, very, very working class family in Ireland whose parents sacrificed everything for him to play the game. He's very rich now, and obviously he takes care of his family. But there has been a Trumpification of this sport that has taken the sport from being something honorable and enjoyable to something that is mean and cruel. And that goes from the players themselves, the company that they keep, and the American spectators. It's disgusting, but it's to be expected. Rick Riley said that Donald Trump cheats like a mafia accountant, which I think is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing as an American. It is an embarrassing turn of events. And I tweeted about this. It's the pinned tweet on my Twitter right now, talking about how horrifying it was to watch the Ryder Cup this past year. There was an American spectator who threw a beer at Rory McIlroy's head. So to see Donald Trump out on the golf course with Wayne Gretzky and Bret Baier, and like it's just. Of course. But again, it exposes everything about Donald Trump. He tried to, let me throw this up here. Hold on. There was another thing up here about, he tried to cheat against, yes, just ask members of Trump International West Palm Beach who arrived for the final round of their senior club championship on January 22nd, only to find Trump's name at the top of the leaderboard when he didn't play the first round. This is the other thing. He says that he's won 38 championships. He hasn't. He tried to cheat against Tiger Woods, for God's sakes. He cannot handle any scenario where he is not the winner, or at least the perceived winner. And it's a sad state of affairs. Yeah, see, Trump doesn't just cheat at golf, Riley wrote. He throws it, boots it, moves it. He lies about his lies. He fudges and foozles and fluffs. At Winged Foot, where Trump is a member, the caddies got so used to seeing him kick his ball back to the fairway, they came up with a nickname for him, Pele.
That's pretty good.
It is. But like, it's such a joke within the golf world. And so you've got these people who suck up to him, right? The LIV Golf guys who are just a bunch of assholes, playing for blood money. And like the Wayne Gretzkys of the world, who apparently does not care about himself, his country, his homeland, or anything that what a disappointment that guy has ended up being. And then Bret Baier. If I hear one more person say, well, Bret Baier is not as bad as the other ones, and I'm like, or maybe why doesn't he leave? Bret Baier could leave Fox News at any time, but he doesn't. He sticks
Bret
around.
Baier, listen, let me just say this. Everybody's like, well, we've got, opinion people, then we've got people like Bret Baier who are who are just neutral journalists. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. Bret Baier is just as bad as the rest of them.
Yes.
He just has the anchorman look.
Yes, yes. And he talks in a newsy voice.
Yeah.
And and I know that there's been stuff, well, he needs the money because he's got family stuff and whatever else.
He's got enough money.
He's got enough money. This is an active choice by these people. And so when you look at pictures like this, whether it be Tiger Woods playing with him, who's now dating Don Jr.'s ex-wife, whether you've got all of these guys standing around together, whether you've got Brendan Carr, who's the FCC chair, who's down there. Donald Trump also, he sucks at golf, he cheats, and everybody around him sucks up and goes along with it, which is just it's just such a metaphor for everything Donald Trump. Everything that's happening in our government, everything that Donald Trump does in his business life, in his life as a government official, happens on the golf course. All of it. And and that's why it was so, again, not to continue bringing this back to the Ryder Cup, but I just think it was just such a glaring example of how the United States is perceived throughout the world through this sport that is Donald Trump's sport. And so when Europe did win the Ryder Cup this past year, they put out this video. Hold on. Donald Trump. Because they trolled him. And they were all like, listen, and my husband and I, we have tickets to go to the US Open this next year. It's going to be at Shinnecock in Long Island. And I'm so excited, but at the same time, I am like horrified that I'm going to be there the same day as Donald Trump. I am very, very nervous. I'm very nervous. And I'm also nervous about the crowd because Long Island people are Long Island people, but the American crowds cannot be trusted anymore in this sport. And it's because of Donald Trump. And that's all I'll have to say about that, Julie. It's very upsetting. It's very, very upsetting.
I mean, I'm not a golfer. I've tried. I don't like it.
You ride in the cart. You ride in the cart and you drive.
You know what? I ride in the cart while my son
exactly
pretends to golf. You should come, but I do.
Maybe we can play together. Me and
you should come out to Pennsylvania. We can play together. Yeah. I can pretend to play, but it's just, I don't know. Everything about this is gross. He's gross. Did I see that you had some Travis Kelce screenshots somewhere down here for something? Am I wrong about that? Oh, I thought you had Kelce.
No, I don't have that. No.
Can we talk about something totally unrelated to politics for a second?
Sure. I welcome it.
Can I say something that's completely going to get me banned from every part of life right now?
I don't know.
I'm over Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't like to say that, but yeah, a little bit.
I'm over her wedding. I'm over her bachelorette parties. I'm over the constant breathless coverage of her wedding. I'm over the fact that she seems like a totally situational woman who is friends with somebody, but if they have so much as a misstep, she dumps them. Like Blake Lively.
I think that's advice from her publicists and the people around her.
Don't care.
Well,
Don't care.
no, I'm not suggesting that she should be excused for that. You know what? This is how, listen, I'm always so careful to talk about women in this way because I think that, you know, we all have a tendency, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about like everybody. I think we have a tendency to talk about women in a way that we hold them up to this standard that we do not hold men up to. And we tell them to shrink and then we're surprised that they disappear.
Yeah. True.
However, Taylor Swift, and I've recently, in the last few years, I've gone from Taylor omniscient to Taylor curious to Taylor Swifty. That's been my journey. But I will say in the last like year or so, I've started to feel myself kind of distance myself from that fandom because of politics, unfortunately. She just, I mean, there is something that's just kind of, I don't know. Like she has so much power to do something, to do anything, to speak up in this moment we're living in, and she's not doing it. And I would say that about anybody, not just her. And it's like, well, don't put all this on her. She's a young woman. Okay. But she's one of the most powerful, rich, popular
people on earth,
on the planet.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, and this is a country that has made her very successful. And I think that if you are in a position like that, you owe it to your country to do the right thing. And, you know, we look back to the late 60s and early 70s and the kind of music and the courage that came from artists during that time to speak truth to power. And Taylor Swift and a lot of people like her do not have that courage. All they have is greed and grift off the moment that they're living in and thinking that this is just a flash in the pan. And no one wants to admit to the fact that the United States is falling into authoritarianism. And they're allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about the whole music industry at this moment, because I feel like nobody, like in the 60s, you had protest music.
Mm-hmm.
And you had people taking positions. And in the 70s too.
Yeah.
In the 80s, we kind of went a little poppy, but still we had We Are the World and we had Live Aid and we had Farm Aid. We had all of this.
That was
stuff,
safe
right?
though, right? Those were safe.
Those were safe. And they were, yeah, of course, like who's going to be opposed to famine in Africa?
Right.
But still, you had people, well, right now, actually, Donald Trump. But back then, it was kind of like, you know, a good thing to do. I'm not saying they were like the 60s where they were literally, you know, singing about like, you know, it ain't me, I'm no senator's son, kind of, you know, Creedence Clearwater Revival protest music. But nevertheless, like, you know, they had those kinds of.
Well, there's been a corporatization of the music industry that I think, and also streaming so music labels after Napster, and after the whole like streaming situation, and we have Spotify and everything else, the artists are making so little off of their music now that the labels really don't like anyone to speak up or to jeopardize any profit they're turning. And so that's why so many of them go on tour. And then we're dealing with Ticketmaster and their whole gouging too. But like there's the bottom line here is the bottom line. And the music industry has no courage anymore. It is a factory. It is a factory, a hit factory. There's no such thing really anymore. I mean, Taylor Swift, funny enough, is really one of the only artists that has concept albums and anything like that anymore. But you know, this is why we turn to independent artists in this moment, like Jesse Wells, who we've talked about on this show. Go find him on TikTok, Instagram, Apple Music, wherever you get your music. He's singing to the moment. He's making music for the moment we're living in. But there's not many. And much like legacy media and the news and all of that, and we're all turning to independent voices to tell the truth. And we have to do the same everywhere else. We have to do with music and how we choose to consume these things, I think really, really, really matters.
Yeah, and there are people still out there like Bruce Springsteen who are
Yes.
speaking up and writing.
Come from a different time, though.
But even Springsteen, yes, one, he came from a different time, and two, like, did he during the Trump era really release the kind of stuff that he did during the for the Rising, which was after 9/11, USA, which everybody always misinterpreted as a pro-America song when
I was like, read the lyrics.
Yeah, read the lyrics. Born to Run, which I love. The New Jersey legislature voted to make that song the official state song in New Jersey until they actually read the lyrics, and it was like, it's a death trap, it's a suicide.
Yeah, like
we got to get out while we're young. Like, yeah. So I think that didn't happen, but I don't. These people, like, people are in the chat are saying Eminem again. Eminem has been around a really long time.
Yeah.
Where today's are, like, where's Sabrina Carpenter?
They're all scared or they don't care. This is where I'm like, I don't talk about.
Or they're Trumpers.
Like, well, you better.
Yeah.
I was like, this is where sports, music, entertainment, everywhere. All these people who were so afraid to say anything, like, well, I don't do that. Well, you may not care about politics. You may not want to talk about politics, but politics sure as hell is going to come find you. And it's going to change your life, and it's going to F shit up everywhere. Yeah. And it already is. And it's this naivete that people have, thinking that it's either not going to touch them or that it doesn't apply to them, or like, this is how fascism happens. This is how authoritarianism has happened. Somebody said Rage Against the Machine. Yes. But again, Rage Against the Machine is from 30 years ago. Yes, they're still around doing great stuff. Tom Morello, by the way, has great merch. Go to Tom Morello's website. I have his t-shirts. But like that's part of the brand. That's his brand. Rage Against the Machine is quite literally what they do. So, it's not a heavy lift for them to be speaking out against Donald Trump right now. And it's just, it's wild, actually, to turn and try to look around really to the music scene right now. The same with film. No one's making really any like courageous films right now. Not really.
Nobody.
And because the studios are too afraid, because Hollywood is run by Republicans, which is a whole nother conversation. But like, and they market a lot of their content to liberals who want to eat that shit up, but they know which side of their bread is buttered and who butters it, and they don't want to piss off Donald Trump, and they don't want to get sued. So everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid.
And it's also the notion of like, well, Republicans, we want them to buy our stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's the Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Republicans buy sneakers too. Right. Yeah. They're afraid of losing anybody.
Yeah. And my point is, okay.
Right.
Like, how many shoes do you want to sell?
Right.
Do you need to, I mean, if like, I remember back in 2000 something, early Bush years, where, if you remember, Natalie Maines and
the Dixie Chicks. Yep.
Got banned effectively.
Yes.
Run out of town on a rail and canceled.
Yeah.
Because of opposing the war and opposing Bush. And I think that's sent a lesson
when it was unpopular to do so.
I think that's sent a lesson to everybody else. They got to stop.
Yep. Don't do this, because then, it's going to derail your career. And listen, they came back with it. Their next album was great, right? I'm Not Ready to Make Nice, and I don't blame them. But it's people are talking about Dropkick Murphys. Yes, that's another band. But again, Dropkick Murphys been around forever. I'm talking about young, new artists having the cojones to say or do anything.
Yeah. It's amazing. Nothing.
Olivia Rodrigo a little bit, but yeah.
Nothing. Nothing.
So
can't
yeah,
wait.
I mean,
can't wait for Taylor's protest album. It's gonna be great. Now that she can't write about bad boyfriends anymore.
Well, right. And listen, if she ever does, she won't do it. She wouldn't do anything like that until Travis Kelce retires from the NFL. because then she doesn't want to mess up all of his endorsement deals. Travis Kelce did an ad about getting vaccinated, and they all lost their minds.
Yeah.
That's the country we're living in right now. So you have two choices. You can either Jay Leno it and not say anything controversial and not piss off anybody, but you're also not going to inspire anybody either. And that's the difference between Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart and Jimmy Fallon. And that's the difference. It's courage. Courage and bravery to speak your convictions and not care what happens.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Stephen Colbert just lost a show over it.
Right.
Jon Stewart remains to be seen.
They only signed his contract renewal for 1 year.
Yeah. Jimmy Fallon is going to be there as long as he wants.
Yeah,
Totally
right.
Yeah.
But Seth Meyers is on the chopping block.
Seth Meyers on the chopping block. Kimmel was on the chopping block.
And he might be again.
Yeah, he might be again. Fallon, however, will be there as long as he wants because he's
a clown. He's a clown who doesn't believe in anything.
Yeah. Well, remember what he did to Trump with the hair? Remember when he was like,
normalizing him.
Normalizing him. Yep. So this is how we slide into autocracy. This is how kids grow up having no cultural concept of what is happening.
Yep.
They are brainwashed with Turning Point USA videos and Ben Shapiro videos wherever they are. They don't have to click on those algorithms for those algorithms to come to them. And that's what's happening right now. I see. Listen, my 13-year-old, I see it when Charlie Kirk died. He came home. He's like, "Did you know Charlie Kirk died?" And I was like,
"I was sitting right there." Yeah,
you were there, and I was like, "How do you know who Charlie Kirk is?"
He's like, they all do. I turn people to Jordan Klepper. Jordan Klepper did an experiment where he got a new phone, made a TikTok account, and said he was a 13-year-old boy, and within, I don't know, 2 minutes, it was all right-wing, red pill, authoritarian, curious kind of content. That's all it was.
Yep.
And listen, I mean, this is, how do you beat this, right? You have to, we have to continue amplifying voices and accounts and things like that say the opposite. And that's the other problem is like the left, the opposition has not made the investment that the right has.
Not at all.
Yep.
Not at all.
And, somebody said in the chat too, it's like, I hate country music. It's just talking about music and stuff. I don't hate country music.
I hate country music.
But I kind of do. I don't hate old country music. Okay. Johnny Cash. I listen to a lot of Johnny Cash.
That was good.
I have a Patsy Cline poster in my home. Yep. That's how I learned how to sing was singing Patsy Cline music when I was a kid. Crazy. That's literally, Crazy's the song. I sang it at the county fair. There's tapes. I'll show you someday. But
I want to see it.
Yeah. But nowadays, first of all, just it's overproduced and it makes my head swim. But again, there's no courage in any of it. Nothing. And it's all MAGA coded. All of it is. It's all super MAGA coded. And they're all down in Mar-a-Lago singing. It's terrible. Somebody said Jesse Wells. Has he been mentioned? Yes, more than once.
Yes.
I mentioned him all the time. And they said he was on Colbert. Yes, and we showed that entire segment on the show a couple weeks ago. So go back and find it.
Yeah, you can go back on YouTube and watch it. Okay, Michelle, it's now 9:15.
Yep,
10:15 Caracas time in Venezuela. We'll see what happens today. We might be back for Daily Dispatch depending on what happens.
Yep.
If not, we will see you guys back here at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow for another episode of the Mayday Morning Show. We are going to be getting ready to roll out this Mayday network in the next couple of months.
Yep.
We're getting contributors together. We're very excited. So please like and subscribe. Please share this with friends you have.
Yep.
And
comments. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think, what you like us to talk about, whether it's here on one of the other shows. And because it really, really does help us. And every time I check our YouTube account, we have more subscribers. And it's honestly, I'm so grateful for everybody who is here. And I know Julie is too. Please go back to and listen to the conversation that I had with Lieutenant Colonel Urso on Friday. It's under the Daily Dispatch playlist, right at the top. And she really breaks down a lot of the legality that of this Venezuela situation that's all over the news this morning on cable news. And then last for us, just to give people a heads up, the last Over It will be this Wednesday at noon, just because we all are very, very busy, and all good things must come to an end. And so we're going to have a finale for Over It on Wednesday. So check that out.
Thank you. And for people who ask how you can contribute monetarily, we're so grateful to you. We got to set up the account. We're going to do that so people can do that. And thank you for the show with Jeff. We love doing that show. We cannot wait to keep doing it. He is in Austria, I believe, this Friday. He's going to try to do it from there, depending on his Wi-Fi. But if not, we'll be back the following week. And that's it. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. But subscribe so you could see potentially we might be back today, depending on if we might be at work by the time we talk to you tomorrow. So
I'm probably going to be coming to you from the car. So, it'll be fun to see if I get a signal from wherever I am.
I'll do it by myself. I'll do it live. I'll be like, I'll do it live. I'll do it by myself. All right, everybody. See ya. Bye.
Bye, everyone.